As always, thanks for being with us. Joining us now with reaction, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. By the way, Mr. Mayor, as we're coming on the air, and I just got this report on my email, it literally just broke. The race for the Oval Office has tightened significantly. The two candidates are now tied in Florida, North Carolina, and apparently Michigan is narrowed so much the state is too close to be called. Ohio is a dead heat, and Pennsylvania is only now barely tilting Clinton. This thing is blown it wide open.
Yeah, I just came back from Pennsylvania. Yeah. I did 2 events in Philadelphia with the police, the FOP of Philadelphia, completely in support of Donald Trump. I don't think there's a policeman in this country who doesn't support Donald Trump, given what Hillary has done to the police. And also, their understanding, like the FBI agents who are in revolt, this is a corrupt person. I mean,
this is important what you're saying. This is the FBI rank and file.
Look,
that is,
I told you, I think a year ago, that she violated the laws.
Let me put them up on the screen. This is what we call Rudy's list.
I told you a year ago that she violated the laws of the United States, serious laws of the United States.
These are the specific laws you said.
Everything coming out now completely corroborates what I was saying, because it doesn't take a genius to figure out if you have Abedin and Cheryl Mills working for the State Department and the Clinton Foundation, all of a sudden they became one. The minute they became one, you had a crime, because she promised Obama she would keep them separate because it would create a conflict of interest. Now, I look at the first case that came out. Nobody disputes these facts. I could put her in jail and convict her of this. UBS, big bank. They had 56,000 identities they were trying to hide from the IRS. UBS gave the Clintons $660,000 in contributions to the Clinton Foundation, a $30 million loan to the Clinton Foundation, and a $1.5 million speaking fee to Bill Clinton. And they got Hillary to get on an airplane, go to Geneva, and try to convince the IRS to lay off UBS.
Unbelievable.
The IRS did, and they only got 4,000 of the 56,000
As Brett
emails.
Baer's been reporting.
That's a bribe.
Of course, well, that's pay to play.
That's a bribe.
That's quid pro quo. That's a bribe.
Pay to play. It's called bribery.
It's called
15
bribery.
years in jail.
Yeah.
I put 2 congressmen in jail for that.
You did.
She did about 10 of these.
All right.
I feel bad for the cases that I prosecuted, because they were so small in comparison.
Did you meet the woman that's out?
To the massive fraud this woman was involved in.
Did you meet the woman in the green room? She's going to be on later tonight. Her son took 6 pictures for his own use of a submarine.
Come on.
He's in jail for a year. He's got a 1-year-old baby at home.
We have the FBI telling us there's a 99% chance that at least 4 or 5 foreign countries were able to hack her email.
99% chance.
99% chance, which to me means 100% chance. Look, if China doesn't have their email, then we don't have to worry about China. If Russia doesn't have their emails, we don't have to worry about Russia.
They all have it.
They're a joke. You know,
the Romanians have it. The Iranians have it. The Russians have it. The Chinese have it.
Look, ISIS has it.
That's what I was going to say next.
Yeah. Come on.
All right. So
then they're not worth anything if they don't have it.
But let's put something together here. Remember when the AP did their story? 55% of the people, individuals that got access to Hillary were all donors to the foundation. Now, if you look at the Uranium One deal, where Hillary Clinton had to sign off specifically. Now, she was given $31 million by the principal involved. Then he got others to give her millions. And then they were merging with other companies and eventually with a Russian company. She signed off 20% of our uranium assets but to give back to the people that gave her tens of millions. Then you got the Moroccan deal, which is a direct quid pro quo. Then you've got the Haiti deal. Let's have 2 separate lists of people.
Yeah, this idea that there's no quid pro quo for me for the last 7 months, 8 months, has been a joke. The Russian deal is probably the worst. What Secretary of State in the last, I don't know, since the communist revolution in Russia would sign off on 20% of our uranium going to Russia, but one who was bribed? And she was bribed. The people who made money on that were all of Bill Clinton's friends who had arranged a deal with Kazakhstan and the dictator Nazarbayev of the Kazakhstan, and they made hundreds of millions of dollars, and they gave 30 million of that to the Clinton Foundation, and then they put a lot of money in Clinton's pocket as a speaking fee. That is bribery. No Secretary of State since the time that Russia became a communist country through now with Putin trying to assert himself would possibly give 20% of our uranium to
Nobody would.
Russia.
Nobody
and
would.
she is making these allegations about Trump and Putin.
Which have been
what
disproven.
What a joke. What a complete joke.
All right, let me, last question. Do you think there's any way with what we know now, short of a pardon, that she gets away without an indictment, considering the Justice Department's
There's no
trying
way.
to protect her?
There is.
The FBI rank and file have now said no gloves
Number
off.
one, there's one way. If in his lame duck status, Obama gives her a pardon, and he should promise the American people that he will not give her a pardon, whether she's elected or not elected.
He really should.
He should promise the American people, I will not. Look, he's completely, between him and her, they have completely corrupted the Justice Department and the State Department. Donald Trump is going to have to put in a reform agenda in both the State Department and the Justice Department, the same way that had to be done after Watergate.
All right, we're going to have to run, Mr. Mayor. We call it the Rudy Giuliani list now. It's got an official name.
I don't know when I first gave that to you. You got to give me the date.
About a year. We'll get you the date.
About a year ago, right?
Yes,
but
sir.
I turned out to be right on every single one of them, right?
Yes, sir.
And I left a few off.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You're going to add to the list? All right, up next on this busy news night tonight on Hannity.
The Clintons, from dead broke to worth hundreds of millions. So how did Hillary end up filthy rich? Pay-to-play politics.
Only 5 days to go until you, the American people, go to the polls. Donald Trump making sure that every American will know just how corrupt Hillary Clinton really is. Laura Ingraham, Jason Miller, they'll weigh in. And also tonight, Clinton Cash author, the guy that got all of this started, Peter Schweitzer, he exposed pay-to-play and the practices with the Clinton Foundation. And you'll also tonight meet the mother I was just talking to the mayor about. Her son is in jail. In jail. Why? He took 6 photos for his own use of a classified area. A mere fraction of what Hillary did. And by the way, his wife and 1-year-old child are waiting for him to come home a year from now. Straight ahead.
The Clintons, from dead broke to worth hundreds of millions. So how did Hillary end up filthy rich? Pay-to-play politics. Staggering amounts of cash poured into the Clinton Foundation from criminals, dictators, countries that hate America. Hillary cut deals for donors. Now the FBI has launched a new investigation. After decades of lies and scandal, her corruption is closing in.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
All right, a brand new ad put out by the Trump campaign. Joining us now, Fox News contributor, editor-in-chief of Life Zet, nationally syndicated radio host Laura Ingraham, Trump campaign senior communications advisor Jason Miller. Laura, I'm looking at this breaking news. This is pretty amazing. Michigan is now in play. There's all the things you and Newt have been saying to me, and here's Mr. Doubting Thomas. You know, I need to put my hand in the side because I want to see it on paper first. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, Sean, that New Hampshire, I lived there for 4 years, a long time ago, but they're very independent people. There are a lot of Massachusetts transplants up in New Hampshire, but they don't like being told how they're going to vote. And I think people in New Hampshire get a little tired of the prognosticators with very little factual basis saying that it's over in New Hampshire. It's already leaning Democrat. Same thing with North Carolina and Colorado. We're learning a lot more about the Clintons. I think Andy McCarthy in National Review, he really said it well when he said that the foundation, it looks like, was operating ostensibly as a charity, but it really was, it looks like from these documents, and we'll learn more, is operating as a continuing criminal enterprise that was lavishing huge benefits to Clinton cronies, of course, the Clintons themselves, luxury travel, advisory board appointments, and, of course, big speaking fees and access to Hillary Clinton. That is going to be a tumor on the presidency of a Hillary Clinton should she be elected. That is, I imagine, for a lot of people, just a bridge too far to take.
What do you think, Jason?
I think numbers are moving quick. I think this Clinton, the investigation into the foundation, on top of what we're seeing from the State Department, I think is big. You look at Mr. Trump's travel schedule. He's kicking off tomorrow. He's going to 11 states in 3 days. Tomorrow will be in Ohio, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, turning a lot of blue states or purple states red. You look at these numbers, the way that they're moving. In New Hampshire, that could put us over the top. If Pennsylvania, if we win Pennsylvania,
we got to be honest. Look, this road is not easy for any Republican. Laura, I'll go back to you. That means that Trump has to win North Carolina. The polls have been tight there. Florida, it's always tight. Ohio, he'll win Ohio, I think. He'll win Iowa, I think. I think he'll win all 4 of those. But then we've got to take Nevada, and then we've got to start looking. If you take all the states that Romney won, you know, can he get Colorado? Can he get, as you said, New Hampshire? Is Michigan really in play? Is Pennsylvania really in play, or is that a pipe dream?
Well, I think Pennsylvania, for the first time in many election cycles for a Republican, is in play because Donald Trump has made this election about the perils of globalization, corruption in Washington, and mass migration of the illegal variety into the United States. That's all converged in a state like Pennsylvania and drastically reduced the standard of living of people there. You throw in the Obamacare premiums, all the new revelations, absolutely. And Sean, I just want to add, it's so serious for Hillary Clinton right now, and they're so worried that they have Barack Obama flying everywhere to try to save this for her. He's
you mean
popular,
talking about the KKK?
she's not.
That Barack Obama? Pretty disgusting.
Despicable. And what happened to when they go low, we go high? You know what
exactly.
it is? We go low, and then we go lower.
Yeah, just like he was going to fix the economy, hope and change.
I mean,
Let
the
me
fact
ask
that
you
he's
this.
out there
Do you think
campaigning for her as hard as he is, I think he's in 4 states. He has 4 big events this weekend. And from what I just read, I think Hillary has 3 big events over the weekend. They'll be in a bunch of different states. She has other surrogates. But I think the damsel is in distress, and it's going to be the big rescue attempt by Barack Obama to try to save this.
Well, I wonder if the 13 million more Americans on food stamps since he's become president, the 8 million more in poverty since he's become president, and the doubling of the debt maybe kind of took a little bit of the hope and change feeling away that people had for him. Playing the race card won't help. Let me ask you one legal question, Laura. Do you think she gets, this is leading towards an indictment? Do you think that the FBI rank and file have so had it with the Justice Department, they are not going to allow this case not to be brought before the American people?
To me, the way it's going, and with my experience in white collar criminal defense, if I were Hillary Clinton, I'd be really, really worried at this point. It seems like it's pointing that way, and pointing that way in a very devastating fashion. You don't have a mutiny at the FBI for nothing, and that's looks like what we're on the verge of having.
I think so. All right, Jason, last word. What's going to happen?
Momentum. Everything's coming up Trump right now. You see Hillary's completely given up any type of positive message, all the energy, all the enthusiasm.
How disgusting is it that the President of the United States, who, hung out with unrepentant terrorists, spent 20 years in the Church of GD America, made that accusation today? Pretty low. Go high and low, as Laura said.
Well, it is pretty low, and I think the fact that we're finding all these emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop is just
it's pretty disgusting, too. By the way,
into this
and
campaign.
the president lied to us about that because he said, I found out about it from the news media. Lie.
Yeah, in the press.
Anyway,
right.
Thank you, guys. When we come,
Hello.
Yeah.
Peter
Schweitzer, when we come back, he was the first person, by the way, to expose this pay-to-play practice of the Clintons and what was happening at the Clinton Foundation. He'll react to the FBI probe, plus tonight.
I often feel like there's the Hillary standard, and then there's a standard for everybody else.
What's the Hillary standard?
You're going to meet the mother. Her son now was in the service, now sitting in jail. Why? He took photos for himself of a classified area. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton didn't even get a slap on the wrist for having all that classified information, top secret information, on an unsecure private server that we now have a 99% chance was hacked by 5 foreign intelligence agencies. We'll continue.